Hello, Connective. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Subscribe, comment, and like without smashing anything, and let's get into this energy. This is a collective reading for Leo. Leo, I've already got your underlying and overlying energies on the table. We did get jumpers. I didn't pull. Some of these cards I've been having to pull, but yours, I believe, yeah, they came out by themselves. So you have one overlying and one underlying energy from the Akashic Tarot deck, and then one overlying and one underlying energy from the Universal Law deck. I already see something pretty interesting here on the table, but I would also like to, I guess I'm saying this a lot now, would like to see what the Energy Oracle has to say to kind of elaborate on this right now. I mean, again, general readings, it could be anything. It might be easier to talk about in the sense of like relationships, only because it's something everybody can relate to, and you can kind of put it into a tangible, concrete, you know, example with these cards. Yeah, really. Yeah, we might talk about this reading in terms of a relationship, but it could literally be anything. And as soon as I tell you what cards came out, once these come out, we'll go straight to the overlying and underlying energy, and then you'll see why I'm saying that. Now that's a few cards there, but I feel like I kind of want one more. Yeah, I would like one more. If it doesn't jump, then I'm going to pull it. Wow, okay, yeah. Well, we have been having to pull cards, so let's see. Oh, what? Okay. No, I've never really done that before, but I wanted to see something, and I got what I was looking for. Okay, so, you know, I saw this card, Rest and Rejuvenation, and I thought it was going to be, you know, like one of the other readings, but this isn't anything like one of the other readings. So, you know what? Let's do the angels first. So, yes. So we'll do third chakra, Archangel Chamuel first. So what I always call our power center, our solar plexus. There's a lot more to it. If these chakras ever resonate with you, definitely look them up. You know, there might be something with it as far as for you goes, like if you need to pay attention to one, or I always say all. This is fifth chakra, Archangel Gabriel. So this is our throat chakra. And we also have, so we got that Rest and Rejuvenation card. Seems like he's doing a little bit more than Rest and Rejuvenation here. We'll get back to that. And then also we have, okay, so we have Patience, which is patience, but I also, it's a very light card, but that's an angel there. So I consider this to be another angel in these readings. The angel of, we can call him the angel of patience if we want. You might be the angel of patience. I said we would use the example as like a relationship to, like, you know, talk about this because it's easier to do. You know, carrying connections could be family, could be friends, could be anything. So we do have the temple path, which is usually like a spiritual awakening. So for a lot of people, this is a spiritual awakening that we're talking about, not necessarily a relationship, or it could be both. But for some people, not so much a spiritual awakening, although a lot of times if you're on your channel, on this channel, and especially with this card, I don't see why it wouldn't be a spiritual awakening. But anyway, so we have, okay, so the door to spirit, which is spiritual awakening for me, which is funny because we also had these adjacent possibilities, which are just like a bunch of other doors. So you have the door to spirit, but you have a door to a bunch of other things, which makes total sense. We were going to go through the overlying and underlying first, and we didn't. And what's funny now is this is tying into the overlying energy. So yeah, let's go to the overlying. So the Five of Scrolls, this is for the Akashic deck. The Five of Scrolls came out. She's kind of like looking over the work. They're dark pictures, but she's kind of like looking over the work that she's done. There's like scrolls next to her, and then one of them's in her hand, kind of a thing. And this card says diversity, right? So also with the law, the universal law cards, the law of attraction came out. Embody the highest version of yourself. Okay. So again, law of attraction, it could be anything. If you're trying to manifest, law of attraction can be literally used as anything. It could be anything, right? You might be trying to become more spiritual, you might be trying to manifest caring connections, right? So now we have some, you might just be trying to manifest patience. We have some examples here. But ultimately, this card is telling, this diversity card is telling you to expand. So again, like to use the situation as like, say, a relationship. Let's say that you're used to dating like one type of person, right? It's always like one type of person. Maybe the person is always blonde or tall or something, right? And this card is saying to go a little deeper than that, to use the variety, because you don't really know what you want, right? Like a lot of times in relationships, that might be a bad example, because sometimes that, we do know. But having said that, a lot of times we think we know when we say we do want this or we don't want that. And we don't realize that what we do want might exist in one of those things that we say we don't want. And it's part of the reason why we're having a hard time finding it, right? So this law of attraction is kind of telling me too, like, once you figure out what all those different things are that are available to you, then you can make a choice. You can kind of decide what you want to bring to you based on looking at everything, right? Again, the adjacent possibilities. I mean, if you saw a bunch of open doors in a room, would you just like run towards the first one? Maybe not, So this is saying that once you kind of expand yourself, you will see more of the, of those things coming in. So in other words, let's say you used to really like people with blonde hair, but now all of a sudden you say, well, you know what, I'm going to try, people with red hair, and I'm going to try people with black hair, and I'm going to try people who color their, make it all these different colors, and I'm going to date somebody who's, that's technically valid, because some people might not date people with colors in their hair. It just depends on what's going on. Some people might be old school and be like, no, I would never do that. But then that person that has purple hair might be the exact person that the other person is looking for, kind of thing. So this is saying that once you figure out that person with purple hair, might be that person that you're looking for, then this is saying that you can properly bring it in, because you know that you're looking for it. You understand, you can bring it into yours. It's going to come to you, right? Which brings us to the underlying energy. So the One of Scrolls, which is on track. And it's basically, this card is kind of like you're always on track. You are on track, but you're on track even when you don't think you're on track, kind of thing. So again, like if it was using the example as like trying to be, diversifying who we were dating, kind of thing, we might be like, but we were supposed to have a child with blonde hair, and it's like you could be with a person that has their purple hair dyed and still have a blonde child. Like this is kind of like what we're talking about, right? So it's one of those things where, again, don't assume that just because you're going to diversify, you're going to expand yourself, that you're changing something in your life. You might be a little bit, you do have that free will to do that, but you're going to always be on track even if you do that. So it's not like, oh, I have to keep to this and I have to bring this belief with me. You don't. And this is the law of allowing. Stop trying to fix, change, or control anyone. So this, again, is kind of like one of those things where when we do start to diversify and we do start to want to bring something in, to us through the law of attraction, if we don't believe that somebody with purple hair could really fall in love with us, then we're not going to allow it to come through, even though we're manifesting it. This is the other half of manifestation. People think all they have to do is write something down on a piece of paper and go to bed. It's not really what it is. Your own beliefs, if you don't have patience, if you don't believe that that thing that you want can actually come to you, then you're blocking yourself. And we'll, if that comes up in this reading, it will come up in some of these other cards. So basically the overlying message is to expand. If you've been doing that already, it might be telling you to expand even more. If you don't feel like that's possible, then maybe it's time for you to figure out what you want so that you can bring it to you. It could be like, say you love sports and you're like, but I can't expand. I've done every single sport. Well, it might be time to figure out what sport you want to coach, kind of thing, and then bring that to you. Even if you don't think that's a real job, you're still on track, right? This is what we're talking about. This rest and rejuvenation, I'm picking it up almost as like, this is the belief card. This is what we were just talking about. Yeah. All right, hold on. I can't see exactly what that is, but This rest and rejuvenation card always comes at me like, you know, meditating. But he actually looks like he's doing energy work over here. Next to this door of spirit, it's like you have the same kind of energy flowing out of this door to spirit. It's like no matter what, like you're divine, like you're connected to that spirit. You can choose to do anything you want. You can expand in any way. A lot of times when we have our gifts, yeah, we come here with our gifts, but we also want to do what, you know, is like what we're excited about, you know, what we're passionate about, what's fun to us, right? That's up to us to decide. We can expand in any way and we'll still be supported. That law of attraction isn't there for nothing. It's there to remind you that you could still have that even though you don't. Ooh. Even if you're not thinking about it, it's there. You're doing it. You're attracting it. So you might as well use it like purposefully. Okay, so this believe card popped up. Like we were just saying, if you don't believe, then it's you have to, you know, you have to allow, not just ask, right? If you don't believe, it's not going to come to you. If I wasn't going to say it before, then I was going to say it now because this card just came out. You're blocking if you don't believe. And that actually does affect your power center too. And if you voice that you don't believe, that's even worse, right? Because now you're using both of those chakras to stand in your own way, even though you're on track. And then the other card that came out was investigate, which is look closely, ask questions, think before acting. Okay, so this is kind of like for me moving more and more into like the spiritual aspect of it, as to where sometimes I feel like I get this like energy of like discernment about someone's spiritual awakening. And that's, I think, what this Curiouser and Curiouser card is kind of like, discovery, inquiry. This card usually comes up as weirdness, which is also on there, but then we have curiosity. So yeah, ask questions, look closely, curiosity, discovery, inquiry. Someone might be a little bit, they might know that they can diversify. It might be a little bit scary to think about what they would diversify to, like on their spiritual awakening kind of thing. It might be even scarier to find out that they're on track. But again, this isn't going to come unless you want to allow it. Plus you have all this stuff kind of waiting. You have to believe that it's going to come. If you're scared about like evolving in any kind of way and you want to look into it, then go ahead and do that. But I see energy on the table. I see Lightworker. Oh, and empath. Messages for a rabbit is my empath card. So this is service to the animal world. But this is always like, it's the only card where she's like looks exactly like the rabbit. There's another like whitish card that is kind of similar, and it's almost, you know, that one is like follow the white rabbit, which is similar. It's kind of like you might think you're an empath, you're not sure. This card is saying, tell the reader, tell the listener that they're an empath. Messages for a rabbit. You're the rabbit. Again, if you don't believe, then you won't be an empath. Again, I see Lightworker. I see Lightworker. Plus spiritual awakening. The law of attraction, the law of allowing. I've said it before, that Lightworkers sometimes can have like a larger energy system. So when they're drawing like, you know, things to them, things that they're manifesting it, the pull can be hard. They can like pull stuff to them that they don't really mean to, just by thinking about it. That's why I always say to not think about stuff that you don't want. That's everybody. You don't even have to be a Lightworker. You get hit in your forehead with something that you were thinking about that you didn't want, then you realize, oh my God, I had to have brought that. Yeah, most of the time you did. Even if you don't think you did, if you think back to it, you realize that it was related. Story just came up, so I might as well tell it. You're not me extended, but it's not that personal. One time I was in my car at like 4 o'clock in the morning going to work, and I got pulled over for a headlight. That headlight had been out like 2 days. Like I literally had not had time to go fix it. And this guy pulls me over 4 o'clock in the morning, and later on, I tell my spiritual advisor, well, I wasn't thinking about my car. And she said, yes, you were. And it was funny because most of the time I was thinking about my car, like in terms of like needing to be fixed or whatever, like that headlight. But that day I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about my car, but I was thinking about something else, right? And I realized that, no, she was right. Overlying energy on that one was that I was thinking about my car, even though I wasn't thinking about it being fixed. And I may not have been thinking about it on that morning. And that's what we mean when we say, well, I wouldn't have brought that stupid ticket for a headlight. Yeah. Especially if you're a light worker, you can get hit with a lot of stuff you didn't want just by thinking about it. There's no real time. There's no real set time, you know. Happens when it happens. Happens when that guy wants to pull you over. Right? Because I swear, like 4 days later, I was driving down the street, and instead the cops that were coming in the opposite direction, instead of pulling me over, they pulled into the donut shop. And I am not joking. So it was like, oh, okay. They don't care about the headlight. All right, I'm gonna go through this one more time, and if nothing jumps, I'm gonna pull them. We're getting to the point where we're gonna be wanting to pull the blind spot on this and see what's at. I mean, this seems simple enough, except for the fact that there could be some kind of fear, you know, about like, let's just call it evolving, or like being in a spiritual awakening, especially if you've been like shown some gifts that are scary. Like I could see like the wanting to discover or investigate before actually wanting to move through the door to spirit, or any of these other adjacent possibilities, by the way. You know, I could even see that even before, you know, wanting to acknowledge that you're an empath or a light worker, or a light worker. But this diversity here, you know, there shouldn't be that much fear in like expanding of stuff that you want to do. Again, you're picking stuff you want to do, not what, you know, everybody tells you to do. That's supposed to be part of the fun part. That's what makes the law of attraction work better for you, because you're excited about it. If you were doing stuff that you hated all the time, then it would be harder. Like it's funny, because if you wanted stuff that you wanted all the time, but you thought about what you didn't want, you would manifest what you didn't want. Most people don't think about what they want all the time, and if they do, they block themselves by, again, not believing that they can have it. So even if they don't have that reverse mindset of thinking about what they don't want all the time, even when they're thinking about what they do want all the time, there's a block. It might not be a belief system that they can't have it. It could be another block, right? So a lot of times too, when there's chakras on the table, sometimes that chakra could be blocked. So you get to the point where you're trying to do something, but your energy system isn't 100%. Again, as a light worker, you need your energy system to be 100%. You don't want to manifest a piece of furniture and have it show up and break, right? So it's one of those things where, you know, you want to make sure that when you are doing something, that you're doing it intentionally, and that you're going above and beyond your comfort zone, so that you can expand on that, so that you can bring bigger things. And then, so we have, I swear this card keeps coming up for everybody. This is full moon in Scorpio, breathe through the tension. So full moon on the table, full moon in Leo, go wild. I feel like we've seen this one before, right? And full moon in Cancer, let your fears dissolve. So here we are now with fears on the table. So there could be a Scorpio, there's a Leo involved. There could be a Scorpio or a Cancer involved with this as well. This is you showing up in your own reading. Let your fears dissolve. No one picked anything, including yourself, picked anything for you to experience in this life that you cannot handle. And I know that that's easy for me to say. I mean, not really, because I've had my own stuff. If you've watched some of my other videos, I've told you about some of it. So, you know, I get the fear. But I always knew too that the fear didn't serve me. In fact, it worked against me. So no matter how scary things got, I did not allow myself to experience fear. I might have suppressed it. It's a possibility. I'm still trying to figure out how much suppression I can actually do without knowing it myself, because I've always been the type of person that couldn't lie to myself. But there's a possibility that there might be stuff there that I'm not letting myself access, because I'm still healing from something that I went through that kind of put that there to begin with. It might not have anything necessarily to do with the spiritual awakening. It might have to do with fear, or it might have to do with the fact that you know, I might be battling my own questions. Like if I hear my spirit guides, am I crazy? Right? It takes a little time to sometimes work through that. Breathe through the tension. So let your fears dissolve and then go wild. So yeah, let's pull the blind spot, see what's going on for you, Leo. See if the blind spot kind of lets us know if there's a reason why if it's in the way of the diversity, this blind spot kind of thing, or if this blind spot might be in the way of like our attraction or our, you know, desire to allow, or maybe our fear that we're not on track, something to that effect. Just remember, if this is you, you can always look towards Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Shamuel for, you know, any kind of support, guidance. I always say to develop your own relationships with them. You have this temple path here and the door of spirit. So that's like spiritual awakening twice. And then I feel like you've got Lightworker and empath. So again, you know, this could be you or someone else, or you and someone else. So yeah, Leo, if this is your reading, meet us over at the extended. The link will be in the description. If not, until we meet again,